did how to put your slides together and what all goes into putting your slides together and things that you need. All right, so let me make sure everything is closed out on my end. And yeah, that's the only thing that should be popping up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So whenever we're talking about, and everybody can see my screen, correct? I don't hear anyone anymore.
Okay. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So one of the big things, like for these talks, is to find out one what the conference is about. So let's go back to my little mind map talks. Let's put it all together, then I can share this mind map with you. Um, One, what is the conference about? Um, what talks have they had in the past? What kind of talks, and when I say kind, I should say what length of, well, what kind and length can these talks be? Um, what subject do you want to cover? And I'm gonna dive into that. All right, so when I ask what subject you want to cover, or when you're trying to look at a conference on the subject that you want to cover, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be an expert in the subject. And this is what pushes, like this is what a lot of people do. This is how people get in, excuse me, um get into those into the conferences, and this is how you get to that field. So if you say you want to do something on um, blockchain and how it applies to the financial industry, and you've never touched either industry before, bit undertaking. However, look at it from the perspective of putting it together as you're doing a research paper. So let's put down here. Uh, you don't have to be an expert, but you do have to research. And um, this right here is how I put my talks together. I actually use a mind map. Isaiah says he's having problems. Dion, can you help him out with that? Um, so having to do research. So what I do is I literally do what you see me doing now. So let me give you an example of a talk that I put together. Recent. Do 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 do. This one. Yeah. So I just gave this talk in Seattle. And so it was about making the mental shift from being a sysadmin to a technical leader. Now, here's the caveat to this talk. The caveat to this talk is I had I had just quit this job. So I had some background in it, but I didn't have any background in it before, if that makes sense. And had I before I took the job actually broke down the job this way, I probably still would have taken the job, but I would have asked more questions. So let me give you how the things I went through, and then I'll go back to uh, putting things together for a talk. So first thing first is I made the shift from being a sysadmin to a technical leader. Now that goes from you managing yourself and doing work on your own to managing 12 people and being in contact with other members of other teams and other technical managers of teams, and then project managers, and then management as well. So I'll give you a breakdown of that. So first off, as you can see, I go from, and I said this in my talk and I keep saying it again, stop looking at stuff in the weeds and pull yourself back out and look at things from a 30,000 foot view. So let me find something here. Let's so we can add this to the talk. 30,000 foot view. We'll add that to our thing. All right. So with that being said, my first level is okay, team dynamics. What were my limits? Being my own worst enemy. Why is this position open? Effective leadership, training, and then support. And those are just like the high level overviews, right? Then you sit back and you think and you say, okay, well, what about team dynamics? What do I care about team dynamics? Do I care about how I interact with the team? Do I care about how the team interacts with each other? Do we have do we have a problem? Do we even have a team? Like how does that work? So these are all things that I came up with for like team dynamics, like the skill, what skill sets do they have, or is this a new project? Do they need to get skill sets? Is there a training budget for it? And I always in my talk, and I still say this, there's a difference between the mission and there's a difference between the vision. The mission to me is the end result. The vision to me is how we're going to get there to that end result. That's how I separate the two for me, because the mission is still going to be the same. But my vision, your vision, the team's vision, everybody else's vision together, those are all different visions on how we're going to get to the end result. It's 15 different ways to get there. We all got to collectively come up with one, or maybe you set forth something and everybody kind of chimes in on it. Limits, I looked at that and said, well, did I have any limitations on my end as far as me as a person, as far as me as my skill sets? Was I given all the information that I needed? Did I have the proper team? Those are things that I looked at. The other one is being your own worst enemy. So making a leap from being a technical leader. I mean, from being a sysadmin, which I would, you could say I was a technical leader anyway, because I was kind of managing, no, kind of, but I was managing myself and setting forth strides, so things that I want to do. But now you take on the ownership of managing projects that you don't have your hands in terms of how it should be done, like the formatting of the code, or the formatting of this document, or these are best practices we should be followed. How do you manage and make sure that those people do those things? And then down here, daily growth. I put that in there because I think every day you're supposed to grow, but you have to understand how that looks. So keeping a daily journal, uh, road map out your week, road map out your day. If you know that you hadn't finished up something the day before, road map out what you need to do for tomorrow. Because 9 times out of 10, when it comes at the end of the year, they're going to ask you for your daily, what you did for the last year, what you did for the last 6 months, or whatever, a quarterly review, or what have you. They'll ask for that. And then why is this position open? And then all the questions that come with that. Effective leadership. Like if you never had good leadership, The only thing you know is I don't want to be that leadership, and then how that works, and then training, like how to, what kind of training do you need? You're talking about training for what the current project had, what they're doing, uh, a new product. If you are uh, if you need to set forth some guidelines and rules of things that you want to see coming from them, bias training, just people interacting with people. That's another form of training, and then support, team support, and buy-in, and so forth. So I put this all together at a high level view, and then drill down. So the one thing I did was, let's go over here to and do CGL 2017. That was the conference, and then come over here to their schedule, and then they still come up 2018. Let's see if we can find 2017. All right, let's see if they got their. They may redirect. Oh, there go one right there. Oh, here we go. All right, let's scroll down. Okay, they had a keynote, and let's see what was her name of her talk. No video. Mm, I can look her up online, but let's go back and look at the 7th and see. Ricky did a keynote. I can always ask them what they talked about, but they don't have in here what they talked about. But they may have their keynotes online. So let's go CGL keynotes. Let's see if it comes up. All right, so here goes some. So you can look and see that they have ones from 2015 up here, and what people talked about and so forth. So you can come here, you can look at what they talked about. You can look at and see, like, freedom in my heart and everywhere, QA for free software and your freedom, beneath the code and the heart. Uh, See, oh, that's a YouTube speaker. And then this is somewhere overseas. So they just give you, let me see, a little idea of, what those keynotes talked about. Same thing with O'Reilly. Let's go back and let's see. We're looking at the software architecture, but it doesn't matter which one. So let's look at velocity. All right, that was this year. Oh, we're not coming up. Yeah. All right. So this gives you, like, what this is just a snippet too, because these talks were probably like anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes if they were keynotes. So this just gives you like a snippet of what people talked about. If you have a Safari online account, you can look at them in full length online. But it gives you an idea of what they talked about, and what stage they presented on when we're talking about a keynote. And then some of these talks are not keynotes either. All right, so now let's go back over here. Talks. So I did mention 30,000 foot view. So 30,000 foot view. Then the question becomes is, like, on your topic, how do you do your research? So I'll put here research, and I think I have this somewhere else. Do I? Yeah, I'll put it over. Let's go over here. So you can look at YouTube. You can also research keynotes they have had. Also, another good thing to look at is just to look at for books on the subject and white papers. And you don't have to read all of it. I prefer to look at I prefer to look at YouTube and webinars. So you can look at YouTube. You can also look at I'll put here webinars, and also SlideShare. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. Those are the ones I like to look at. And Bright, I think it's called Bright Talk. I try to look at those. Those are like my go-to that I look at. I try to look at people books, the read and other resources like books, white papers, YouTube, and then I take everything that I found. Like I can show you an example of me just trying to put a talk together. Like I literally take stuff and highlight it and paste it in there. I think this is probably one where I just highlighted and pasted. This was a keynote that I gave. Let me see. Yeah. So let me blow it up some here. Like I literally just cut and paste. Like I highlighted something, threw it in there, and I said, okay, I need to make sure I make these key points on my slide. So why do I like using MindMeister? And I'm not telling you to use it at all, because I can now take it and I can export it into a PDF, a outline, a Word file, a PowerPoint, or just get the image itself. But once it turns it into a PowerPoint, I can go back through and select the topics and stuff that I want to drill down more into. Should I throw this on a slide or what have you? So the other thing we need to discuss on here is timing. So, and I'm gonna go to Red Hat's CFP on this. So the timing of talks, if we're doing lightning talks, they're 5 minute on lightning talks. They're 20-minute talks or 20-minute mini sessions, they like to call them. There are breakout sessions, 45-minute, where they're actually 90-minute breakout sessions. And those are more like trainings. There are 45-minute talks, and then there are 2 day trainings, all day trainings. There are 3 day um trainings, and then there are like half a day trainings. All right, so let's go over here to Red Hat CFP. And yeah, let's see. Submitted section. I think I may have this in a PDF. And we look and see something right quick. Downloads. Let's look. I think I may have it. Any questions, by the way, while I'm looking for this stuff? I don't see it.
I think maybe I misunderstood your post that you made about submitting for
Mm-hmm.
Red Hat. This is Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so when I was looking at the comment about the panel
Mm-hmm.
discussion, I was thinking that like we could gather up enough people from Women in Linux, but was I misunderstanding you that you were on your own and gathering a panel, or
No.
which is it?
No, I submitted a talk and then I said, hey, if we want to do something as a panel, we can. You can submit. That's the thing about conferences, you can submit multiple talks. Just because you submit one talk don't mean you can't submit multiple talks.
Okay. Um. Okay.
Yep. So we still are on. We just need to hurry up though.
Yeah, we need to hurry up. We need to. We need to. Okay. We need a. We need another discussion. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to hurry up. I was looking for that PDF and I don't see it. But anyway, inside there, let me look. Red Hat. Let me see if it comes up. No. No. I didn't want to put in my information again, but I will. I don't even remember what I put it under. I think that's what I did. I don't think so though. Um, Here's the submission guide. Okay, that's what I was trying to find. All right, so in their submission guide, um, they give you like the dates and so forth. And I'll Dion, don't let me forget papercall.io. Speakers' responsibilities, things that you need to get in, things they're obligated to you. So, or like O'Reilly will pay for your conference talk, in terms of your ticket, and I think they reimburse you for your hotel and your flight. Some conferences don't do that. Um, Participants, okay, so you can be a lead speaker, you can have two people who co-speak, you can do your sessions and then have assistants for your sessions. And so this is where they break down the sessions: a 20-minute, a 45-minute, a 45-minute panel, a birds of a feather 90-minute, or 120-minute. I was thinking birds of a feather for us for
Mm-hmm.
a discussion, because birds of a feather is a 45-minute informal conversation with audience members, and you kind of just make up a topic and everybody goes along with it. The other one is the panel, and you can have up to 5 people on the panel and one moderator. So, like, you could choose to be a moderator, and then pick 5 people to talk about something that hasn't been talked about before at a conference. You can go
Mm.
on Red Hat's website and on O'Reilly, on not O'Reilly, but a YouTube, and probably find out things that, excuse me, that they've done. But I'll download this so that
Mm.
everybody can. I'll post this in Slack,
Okay.
so everybody can go through it. And then the other ones are like 90-minute sessions, instructor led. Each conference, most conferences have some type of training workshop that you can submit your talk to on what you want to do. So with that being said, let's go back over here and say, okay, suppose you do want to do a training. What do you want to do a training on? Is it based on the skill level? So let's do skill level, and you can do something like beginner, and intermediate, intermediate. I think I spelled that right. Yep. And advanced, and then there's some talks are just super advanced. Right, and then you break that talk, that beginner, you break it down into, like, just assume that no one in all these talks know anything about the subject, and so you may do like a 30-minute overview of something and then do a deep dive into it. And it's the same way with the intermediate, all of them. You may do just a 30-minute, like, hey, I'm just gonna test the waters to see where everyone is at, and then do a deep dive from there, if and depending on how deep you want to get in that talk. But again, that goes back to scheduling your time out. So what I do with my timing on talks, let's just make another one. Timing on talks. And I should put it up there, but I'm not. So let's say your talk is 45 minutes. So usually the rule of thumb is 1 minute per slide. That sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like a whole lot, but you could probably get away with on a 45-minute talk. I'm gonna say max mm, 20 to 30 slides, max. And then just stretch your slides out. So that means that you're gonna use your slides as a guide for just content, and then brush over, let people read it, because it's probably going to be up there for 2 minutes. So you figure if you do 2 minutes a slide at 40 slides, or if you do a minute or a minute and a half a slide for 30 slides, that's your range. And so how do I time myself? Well, I use my tablet to time myself by just sitting there and reading, read it through. Like, I literally go through and just read through it. At, the what's on the slide. I look at it, I read through it myself, because I want to make sure I have a good flow of consistency of the slides, and then I go back through it again. I probably go through it uh 10 to 15 times before I present in public. But by that time, I put my own slides together, so I know what's in the slide deck. I've researched the information, I gotten the resources, and then now it's time to take all that and sum it up in a 45 minutes and present it, and then go from there. And usually in your slide deck, you want a resource slide. Let me put that up here. Slide. And you also want a inside that you also want to give a overview of who you are. So, overview of who you are. And that is really the gist of how I put my stuff together when I'm doing a presentation, even when I'm doing a presentation for Women in Linux in terms of our talks for the night. I wanted to do something on the fly like this. When I say research, I mean uh, uh, researching like IEEE, various talks, your people at work, interviews with other um, other companies, or other people in the field, podcasts, listening to podcasts. I forgot about that. And so, with that being said, I'll take this and let's just turn it into a PowerPoint. Let's get rid of that and let's export. All right. So now it's in my PowerPoint. You open it for me? No. All right. So it's gonna overwhelm you. That's fine, because it's gonna take everything that I did and put in there and gave me 46 slides, right? But these talks, it took these points and broke them down into various talking points. So it says, what is a conference? What is the conference about? You can take that, run with it. You can leave that as this. You can just chop this up. Like, what is it about? You can take this and leave it the same. This right here, research. So IEEE, various talks, work, interviews, podcasts, bullet points. Switch out the slide to this. Put in some pictures. Center your stuff. branded however you want to, throw in a gift or whatever. But now when you talk about research, IEEE give an example of an article that you read from it, for your talk. Various talks mention people you that you um, that you looked at and who are experts or considered experts in the field, people that you worked with, a coworker did X, Y, and Z. Remember now, if it's a minute to 2 minutes a slide, you're kind of doing again an overview and giving strong points out of each one. The same thing here, like, so now I did IEEE. I'll delete this, right? I'll go through and I'll delete this. And so now I have training. Now I'm gonna break down training and say, well, what would a beginner have, or intermediate have, a super advanced, and then break all that down. And so until you get down to like about 30 slides, I'll do this till I get down to about 30 slides. And so 30 slides will be the max that I'll do, and then I'll break that up into like what I want to see. So there was a guy at the conference that did like an anatomy of talks, and I hope it got uploaded. It doesn't look like it did. Oh, here it is, effective training. And from his talk, I mind mapped his talk. So introducing people on like levels, see, create a proposal. Again, you can create a proposal is what we're talking about. Creating your presentation, building an outline. If you're going to do a class, how do you scope out your class? Creating exercises for your class. um, have an idea, brainstorm it. He does word association. He just takes it and throws words at it and then go from there. um, how do you present? So he talked about, the stage, the tones, breaks, highlight concepts, material, and personalize it, engage, reward the student, resolve. These are all like if you were doing a training, but you could take all these same concepts and apply them to when you're giving a talk and not just a training. um, Location, or what are the expectations, what lasting impressions do you want to leave, having a positive view, um, uh, encouraging learning and encouraging others, getting feedback from your students or people who are listening to you, so you get a good gauge of the audience. And then this right here, keeping attention of the student. Engage is spelled wrong. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's wrong now. But yes. All right. So I said paper call IO. All right. Paper call.io. Come on. Paper call IO. I think it's paper call.io. Yeah. I don't know why that didn't come up. So here is another location where you can find conferences that are having a call for proposals, event directory. And then you'll see here like Drupal, DevOps Days, Tel Aviv, New York, Snow Camp, just different ones. And then I think you can search by, let's just type Linux to see if they got as a key field. So there's Linux Lab, which we put this up in our newsletter. Linux Lab, they got free tickets for people if you can make it to Italy by December the 3rd. CubeSec, Scale. I want to go to Scale. Open source talks, that's what they have for there. So let's go back and look up DevOps. So DevOps Days, Pi Tennessee, Pi Cage, CraftCon, Budapest. I think Michael Jenkins went to that. Um, Voxed, Brazil, Memphis. Um, I've never heard of this particular conference. Test Top, never heard of that one. But these are where you just another way to come here and find out who has a conference, submit your talk, and then see what they're offering in terms of like, hey, do they pay for the speaker? Does this, if you keynote or if you have a panel or what have you, take a look at it if they got some type of reimbursement or something of that nature. Also, when you look at um, these talks, look and see if someone is in the area and pair up with them and do a co-talk together or something of that nature if you don't feel comfortable doing it by yourself. I know that was a lot. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right. So, if no one has any questions, I am going to call on Linda,
Hmm.
and I'm just off the hip, and this is we only have to do a quick one. We're gonna do
Okay.
a new mind map, and you have been learning about blockchain. Let's go with something I know you've been looking at.
Hmm.
All right. Um, I just want you to tell me from a beginner's standpoint what I should know about blockchain. And I don't want you to think about this really hard. I just
Hmm.
want you to start throwing words out there and I'm just going to type.
Distributed ledger,
Okay, keep going.
integrity,
Somebody write it in the comments
public.
over there. So while she talking, so I can keep up.
Okay. Public,
Okay.
private,
Okay.
hashes, smart contracts. Mm,
Keep going. Don't stop.
don't stop. Okay. Blockchain, blockchain, blockchain.
You thinking too hard.
Developer,
Okay.
developer,
Okay.
consultant,
Okay.
solutions. Um, what is it? Front end.
All right. Now, this is what you said about blockchain, right? You said
Mm,
private, distributed ledger, hashes, public, smart contracts, developer, solutions, front end. What is it? Consultant. Now, from that, I would take in and say, well, this is what I would do. I would say, you said distributed ledger. What is it?
hmm.
Um, who uses it?
Hmm.
Another one I would come up with is why is it necessary?
Hmm.
Public. What is a public blockchain? And I would probably put private over here too.
Yeah, public, private,
Yeah.
or difference between public and private.
Right. I would just probably do something like differences,
Yeah.
and then I'll roll public. Oh, come back screen.
Mm,
And then I will put the differences under I will put public and private under
private.
differences.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh.
All right, so let's. Oh, differences went away. Oh, come on, screen, stop it. All right, differences. And then let's we can come up here. I want to drag this over to here. Come on, catch up on it. There you go. And then we can grab private and put that down there too. All right. And so we can take that. What is it? You can expand on that. Consultant. What about a consultant?
So the different things I've been looking at, as far as how you can participate in the business of blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
you can be a developer, you can be a consultant.
Okay, so jobs, you mean?
Yeah,
All right, so let's go
careers, opportunities.
jobs and opportunities. And then let's throw in consultant over here. Let's throw, I'm assuming front end as well.
Yeah.
And then developer.
Hmm.
All right. And then you take that, and what I would do with that is, and this is what I've done before. This is how I did it. I said, I went and looked up 5 different jobs on being a blockchain. I would look up 5 different jobs on being a blockchain consultant.
Hmm.
I would take those 5 different jobs and I will pull out common themes across those 5 jobs, and I will make
Hmm.
those things be like the commonality that I've seen, and I would do it across different industries as well too. Same thing with front end, same thing with a developer. So basically you're gonna probably be looking at 15 different jobs across
Hmm.
multiple sectors, and then come
Hmm.
up with it. So I'll put down here, look at 5 jobs, and we'll make that common. Oh, come on. I knew it was going to do that, but that's not what I want. We'll get rid of that link. Look at 5 jobs. Look at 5 jobs. And come up with common themes, solutions. What when you say solutions, what's your thoughts there?
Well, right now people are coming out with different stacks, like different platforms. That's the complete stack you need in order to set up a blockchain. And
Okay.
so it's kind of a one-stop shop.
Okay.
Um,
And so
makes life easier too.
what I would come in, I would say solutions, different stacks, and then what are those different stacks, and then how it applies to everyday life, like try to relate to the audience. So
Mm-hmm.
I would do relate to the audience. Can't see. All right, and then last but not least, smart contracts and hashes.
Um, so hashes probably goes with distributed ledger
Okay.
because you're basically just talking about how the hashes are chained together, and that's what makes the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a word I left out, should have been the first thing I said, was crypto.
I had it right. Oh, I keep getting all crib. So there we go.
Crypto. Yeah, that probably should have been the first thing I said. But
Okay, that's all right. And then you can say uh
mhm.
different coins as well. And what else on crypto? From a security standpoint.
I think I said integrity. It provides the. Did I say? Yeah, I did say integrity. I just don't think we captured it.
Okay. Integ.
Integrity for the blockchain.
Okay. All right. So that right there, if you take this and I'll turn it into a PowerPoint for you,
Mhm.
that will be like a talk that you could do. And you can probably squeeze it into 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you can take that very same thing, this very same flow and expand it to whatever talk you want. You can then say, what if you wanted to turn it into a panel of five? You can go find
Mhm.
out people who are in the industry that are consultants that do front end. You can look at someone who has a solution and have them on your panel. You can talk about distributed ledger. You can talk about people who do smart contracts, say in a real estate environment, or someone who does smart contracts inside of hotels, like or DocuSign or something of that nature. And you could put
Mhm.
a panel together just based off of this, and pull it all together and ask your questions. And then that's the anatomy of your talk. You submit, you get it all together, you ask the people, come up with the questions, how you want to frame it, and then submit your talk. We just
Okay.
we just created a talk.
Uh-huh.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. How is that for everybody? Just walking through it, just on a whim. How is that for everyone other than Linda?
Mm,
No. Yes.
I
Oh,
can't. I'm on my phone. I can't see who's there.
oh, that's fine. Isaiah. No. Yes. Could have been. Seems easy when I do it, but
Oh,
but it was easy. That's the point. Go ahead, Isaiah.
oh no, I was about to say I've never seen this tool before, but it's good because it kind of organizes your thoughts and it's pretty quick. You can kind of put it. It's almost like writing it on a whiteboard and kind of getting your thoughts organized pretty quickly. So that's a good tool.
Yep. And but this is the I pay for this one. There are free mind map ones out there. I've just been too lazy to go look at all the ones that are free, but there are mind map tools inside of Google Sheets. Let me go here.
You know what? I've looked around, and I always keep coming back to this one.
MindMeister.
Um. I haven't done the paid one yet. I think I get like one freebie a month or something like that.
Mhm. I think Lucid Charts has a mind map. I think when you connect up with Lucid Charts from Google, they have a mind map. Let me see. Mind map, Lucid. I think they have one. Yeah. And so some people get funky with mind maps, and they'll do all kind of crazy stuff with it. Like, their mind maps will look like this. There are mind
Mhm.
maps out there the one that's on our Twitter account is real funky. You can branch off and do things, but I prefer to do it how I've been doing it, because it just helps me kind of like, okay, what part do I need to go research on that I have not researched, because I don't
Mhm.
have I don't because I don't have my links. And that's the other thing too. I can put in links as well too, on here as well. You say free mind. Let me look up that. I think that's something what somebody else was doing. Let's see, download. Do they have an image? Let's see, my mapping. Yeah, that was it. Come on. Oh, come on. Let's look at images. Okay, that takes me back here. Okay, yeah, same thing. But I would encourage you to, like, anytime, and this is something that I've been doing as well too is I want to know about something. Like say I want to learn about at work we're working with console from HashiCorp. I'm like, well, first off, what is it? What are good resources that I can use? And then how how is the architecture of console work with what by itself, and then how does it work with what I want to integrate it with. So I go get all those resources together and then try to come up with some kind of mind map of what how I want to how I want my studies to flow. So that way when it comes downtime to it, I can just then say, okay, this is the knowledge that I got. This is my understanding of it. This is where I'm going with it. And I just take it and all put it all in a PowerPoint presentation and put it all together. And then at the end of it, I'm like, I have my own presentation of console. And if someone asks me about it, I'm like, look, I'll send you what I got, how I studied and what I used, and then go from there. And I don't really have to explain it to them because sometimes I don't feel like explaining it. But that's what I do, and that's how I uh, put a talk together when I'm going to present. But you can use this on how you're going to study. You can use this on how you're going to put a presentation together for a meetup, or even if you just want to explain it to someone who doesn't understand it, like just take the bare bones of it and just start throwing words up there and then expanding on it and then make go back and connect the dots and reel it all in, and then next thing you know, turn it into a PowerPoint presentation, fill in the meat and potatoes, and then you're done. Any questions? Anybody else got any ideas of if they wanted to present a talk, what they would talk about? And does anyone else use anything else? We're open to listening to what other people may use. No.
No.
So
So okay, so let me ask you this.
mhm.
Looking at the mind map you created, um, how would you do you take that into consideration when you're writing your abstract?
Mhm. I sure do. The first level right here, distributed ledger,
Mm-hmm.
smart contracts. What is it? Solutions, job opportunities, crypto differences, integrity. I take all of that and I put that into like my main points of what I want to discuss
Mm-hmm.
in throughout the talk, but like at a very high level. Like
Right.
like job opportunities. I may include something in there like we all heard of blockchain. But do we know what blockchain actually means? And how does blockchain apply to security? How does blockchain apply to DevOps? In my abstract, I'm going to, I would say something like that. But in my talk, I say I want to explore that, and I want people to understand that, especially those who are new coming into tech, and also those who are in tech and making transitions into in their career field. What does this actually mean to them, and how does it affect them? And I'll explore that. And then when you start talking, you can start saying, what is blockchain? What is smart contracts? What are the differences? Here's some job opportunities that I looked up. If you're already in the field, here's some common skill sets that you need. Or here's some skill
Mm-hmm.
sets you can go get, and here are places where you can go get them. You can go to
Mm-hmm.
Udemy. You can go to IBM course. Crypto. How does crypto affect your dollar? What does that mean to your household? In the future. So you can take that whole thing. You can go 30,000 foot, 20,
Mm-hmm.
15, 10, and then get down to a minute point. The whole trick is you want to be able to be relatable to the people in the audience, because at the end of the day, everybody got to eat, everybody got to earn some money, and somebody got somebody to take care of, including themselves. So if it's something they can relate to, that's how you're going to win your audience.
Okay.
And that's and I'll send you this mind map. I'll download it and send it to you and turn it into a PowerPoint presentation, and you can go filter it out and put it all together, and next thing you know, you'll have a talk.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And also run it. Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also run it by one of us. This is what the meetups are for. If you have your talk, just to run through your talk, and we can let you know how your paste is, and then we can do a video screen share. Because what I've noticed, and when me and Tam run through her talks, is that the audience has a big role to play when you are speaking. And when you get great audience interaction, it makes the talk so much easier, because that's just what it is. It's a talk, it's a dialogue, it's a conversation, and you'll feed off that audience because they'll be so engaged.